Hey, it's Nay. And welcome back to Nay's Little Garden and Home. So, we're doing like a 2026 garden recap. Now, I'm gonna try to get everything in this one video, but just go ahead and grab you a drink and a snack because you're gonna be here for a minute. The most varieties I grew were from my tomatoes and my peppers, so we're gonna save those for last. Let's just hop, skip, jump right into it. First up, I grew some squash this year that I am definitely interested in growing again. So the first thing I want to talk about is this honey nut squash here. They are starting to ripen on the vine. They're still more dark green than this color, but this color is starting to peek through. I did order, because I feel like they were on sale, these baby butternut squash. So it's just a climbing honey nut. So they're essentially the same thing. The ones on my vine are a bit slimmer like this, because this is the exact packet I use, versus this newer one looks like they're chunkier. So honey nut, I have like 7 right now, getting some type of coloring on them, which is good. Now, if I was thinking about trying to get through the remainder of the year, right? Think to around Christmas time, maybe a little before, 7 wouldn't cut it. Walk with me. So the honey nut squashes right now are just for my husband and I. When it comes to butternut / honey nut, butternut we can just cut in half and we can do 1 and 1. Honey nut, I could still eat half of a honey nut and be fine because there's sides. But for my husband, the honey nut is smaller, but so often nowadays I will like put meat or something on top of it, so it'll do just fine. So that's technically only 7 main character meals. And if we're eating squash, let's just say we have a honey nut squash once a week, that's not even lasting us 2 months. You get what I'm saying? And that's from, to my knowledge, 2 plants. So nothing crazy. Like for the plants, that's not bad. And there's another one growing right now. So I think the raised bed, I gotta speak faster. The raised bed that I planted my squash in is too far for my hose, which is not good, right? So I think that when it came to watering it and then fertilizing it, which is the biggest thing, I think, they did not get fertilized as much as they needed to, I feel like, on the second half of the summer to keep pumping our produce. Like I was doing really good for the first month and a half, and then the farther ones just were far. So I definitely want to grow this again. I might move it on the arch trellis just to the other side of there, just so that they can get water. Because what I did this year, oh my goodness, that really did my garden so good, was I got a new hose top, and I could just push it up as opposed to holding it down. And I laid it on a low stream in each garden bed. The smaller the bed, like the 2x4s only got 1 section, but anything bigger than that, I would put on one end and then put on the other end. And then in my 8-foot beds, I put in 3 sections. And I just let that ish run for about 3 to 5 minutes each session. Like that's the most watering I've ever done, ever. And my garden showed that, okay? Anyway, moving on, because this is another organic honey nut squash. Can you tell I really like honey nut / butternut? I think I have like 1 butternut packet here. I didn't grow it this year. They just take up more space, and I was concerned about space. So I made choices this year that I'm not gonna say were the best choices ever, because now I'm kind of missing it. I don't know what's in my garden right now. I don't remember planting any table acorn squash, but there is an acorn squash, for fact, growing in my garden. So it's either this, oh, here it is, the Waltham butternut, or it's I don't know what I did with, guys, the other thing about trying to stay organized with stuff, it moves around so much. There is a golden acorn type looking squash that I also have seeds for, that I feel like that's what it might be. but it's still not turning golden. So I'm not sure. That one is also prolific. We're gonna eat it anyway, right? I don't think they're gonna be sweet like a butternut or a honey nut. But when it comes to soup and stews, I love to put a little squash, like an acorn squash in there. Now I'm at the point where I might start roasting stuff because I've been roasting my tomatoes to make my sauce. I did one batch of ones I didn't roast. I boiled them because I got so many Roma tomatoes, which we'll get into later in the video. And the flavoring is just not for me. I like when the stuff is roasted. It did make it easier and faster, but there was something to the flavor that was just missing. And I felt like I had to add more spices. Listen, I planted beets. I still haven't harvested any beets. I planted those beets late though. And then when it got hot, I did plant them underneath the tomatoes. So the leaves are still alive. And so maybe we'll get beets now. I'm not sure. We're gonna see. I planted this loofah gourd. Y'all, I don't know about this. This is so long. It's 120 days to maturity. I have one growing on this plant. And a bunch of male flowers just opened up again. Guys, it's the end of August, okay? It's the 20th. So I feel as if a couple females are about to open up on that plant, and it doesn't matter because it's cooling down. It's not cold by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's gonna have enough time to pollinate, grow, and dry on the plant. So the one loofah I got, I don't think I'm gonna grow this again, at least not next year, because I want to leave space for actual things I'm going to eat. I grew no summer squash this year, and that was on me. And that was that for squash, because the second arch trellis I wanted to put up, I didn't get to. But at the end of the day, I feel pretty happy about the ones I did grow. There is a squash or two I'm gonna probably give one plant next year, but that's for next year. Let's talk about the greens here. So I am growing dinosaur kale in my garden. I did not get any successful seeds. They popped up and then stuff happened. So I ended up picking them up at my local greenhouse. I will be growing those again. I pulled one out because I needed the space, but I planted two. That one is still growing greens. I don't understand what genetics make the kale so strong. I have a bunch of greens started again, but like summertime is really not the place to be growing a ton of greens. But I can say though the dinosaur kale, she did her big one. We'll talk at the towards the end of fall for about how my fall garden went, but those were impressive, guys. Those were and it's like big, like you see in videos people's kale and you're like, how do they get monstrosities like that? I can understand now. Kale is just so easy, and you can do a lot of different things with kale. Even just adding kale into your soups and stews, putting kale into your rice, like chopping it up small and putting it in your rice, putting kale at the bottom of your whole chicken. Like I did a lot of roasting chicken in the oven this summer. All of that is just so fire. Anyway, let's move on to the main characters of my garden. So between my squash, tomatoes, and peppers, those are the main characters of my garden. I did miss having at least one eggplant plant here, and that's on me. So I grew 0 eggplant this year. I did grow some herbs from seed. They all did well. Okay, so my oregano, my thyme, I didn't grow any basil from seed, but I did get a plant that's doing fine. I really don't think you need to stress the variety unless you're going for a certain taste, right? And that's on that. Let's get to the peppers. I'm scared to even talk about the tomatoes, guys. I love to talk too much about tomatoes. Now, there are 2 types of peppers I grew, the spicy ones and like the more sweet type of peppers. I'm gonna go through the spicy ones first. The thing I'm gonna say about that is I have enough spicy peppers that I can just alternate between them and still feel like we're growing different types of peppers. I 100% missed the yellow monkey face pepper. And then I believe it's I just lost the name. It's like a yellowish, mildly orange with orange stripe. Oh, the Sugar Rush Peach Bell Pepper. Those two peppers I missed. I grew them last year. I don't like hot for the sake of hot, okay? And some of these spicy peppers were just that. It was just fire in my mouth. They were beautiful, but I don't want just that. The chocolate hand grenade is spicy, but it's something I could see myself using in like jerk seasoning. So this was good. It was either the Ragnarok or the Thanos. One of these, because we tried these around the same time, won't be growing again. I will figure it out because we still have peppers growing off of those. One of them was just hot. No sweet, and it was almost slightly vegetal. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. The other one had fruity and fire, so I have to figure out which one, and I'm probably just going to toss the seeds of the one I didn't like so I don't make that mistake again. The Jay's Pink Black is absolutely beautiful. It makes this, so a lot of these pepper seeds, these seeds came in like a dark color, like black, and then they ripen with color on them. So good. I like the Jay's Pink Black. The Pimenta de Dog was okay. This was the least productive pepper that we have that was spicy growing. I have about another 8 to 10 spicy peppers I didn't grow this year that I have, like I said, that I can alternate next year. I'm not even giving you guys oh, this is what I'll grow spicy-wise next year. That's going to depend how I'm feeling. Now let's go ahead and get into these sweet peppers, sweet-ish peppers. I grew about 20 varieties of peppers. That included the 4 or 5 I just told you about. So about 15 of them were here. The early jalapeno. I only managed to get this into my green stock. Y'all, I don't know if I moved my green stalks to a different location, and I'm going to be honest with you, the location is prime. The ability for me to remember to fertilize that is less than ideal. And this is my first year putting it where I put it, so I'll do better next year. But this is something I have to keep in mind. Like, we ended up getting a good amount of rain, so when it came to watering, I kind of got lackadaisical going to the other part of my property. And it's really not a big property. It's just, I just didn't. So when it came to bringing my jug with the fertilizer in there, a lot of those plants that were peppers didn't get to grow big because they didn't get fertilizer. And I feel like tomato plants, the second you do fertilize, they snatch it up rapidly. Like, the peppers are like, girl, you didn't leave nothing for me. So this was okay. But I wanted to have jalapenos, and I feel like I only had a few, and they were small. So next year I'll move it to someplace else. The first pepper I want to talk about is this Arroz con Pollo. I like this pepper. I believe I am going to definitely be growing this next year. They are small peppers. The plants are also not big, but they're leafy. I didn't get a ton of peppers from this, which made me a little sad. There's a mild heat to this, but it's absolutely nothing crazy. Like, I think it's even less spicy than a jalapeno. It's just a small kick. But I liked putting this in my tomato sauces, like my spaghetti sauces or whatever. We ate it raw. We ate all of the spicy peppers raw just to give it a taste, but this will not there's a lot of seeds in here. I'm not going to say I'm not going to grow this again. This is one of my most prolific pepper plants. I am not a fan of how skinny this is. There are so many seeds in this. And for me, peppers is not something right now that I just dip raw into like hummus or something and eat. I cook with it. So for me, I'm not going to just toss this whole thing into a pot of chicken. So trying to slice this was annoying. And I have like 9 right now chilling out green on a plant. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it because it's just aggy to cut this. It's just aggy to cut this, Jimmy Nardello. It's very productive though. Like, this was the least prolific, but it's a huge pepper. I also feel like Maybe the spots I put it was less than ideal, for sure. I think I had 2 in my garden. Both spots were less than ideal. One got planted out late, and then the other one got ended up covering by some of the squash of like, it's unfortunate. But the yellow monster, I mean, it's just fine. I don't have this in my top 10. The Ozark Giant is in fact in my top 10. I got about 4 of these off of the plant. Now, this is something that in the ideal, I put my peppers in my squash bed. Don't do that. Because even if you try to trellis stuff up, there is one that's going to be nary a wild and go in the opposite direction. And that's what happened. So before it got too covered up, I did get 4. And I feel like it was this or the next one. These 2 right here, this is something that needs to be staple. So this is the King of the North. I harvest most of my peppers green. I need at least 10 more pepper plants. And I said this in other videos, I'm going to grow 10 less tomato plants. I'm not sure if that's going to be 5 less varieties or if I'm going to take some plants from other plant. Like, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but 10 need to grow less. I am drowning in tomatoes. And I'm not saying I don't have any peppers. I'm going to show you my top 5 shortly. But these 2, I just really like these. These were good. And I feel like if I had 2 or 3 of these plants each, I would have gotten more peppers. Because also people have been, I give some of my produce to my family and friends. And I feel like I can give you 6, 7 tomato, like bigger tomatoes or 20 cherry tomatoes. And then like, 1 onion, because I grew a good amount of onion. And then maybe a pepper. You know what I mean? I want to be able to give 5 tomatoes, 3 or 4 peppers. You get what I'm saying? While still having peppers for me. I don't want to skip to the top 5 yet. The Pizza My Heart and the Arrows and the Fresh Bites Yellow. These were grown in my green stock. They did their thing. I like them. They're good. They're just small. They're like small bell peppers essentially. They're delicious. I feel like the Arrows, I would be interested in seeing what the Arrows does in a raised bed, because this is just it's going to do an obnoxious amount of things. And I'd be interested in these 2 in grow bags. Like growing 2 of them each in a 20-gallon grow bag. They're just, because this is saying just a 6-inch pot is ample to produce crunchy, tasty 2/4-inch long wedge-shaped yellow peppers. Now, so maybe I'd put 3 fresh yellow bites in 1, right? But they put on a good amount in a small plant. Now, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my top 5s. I'm gonna put a disclaimer on one of them. I think this what hold on. Before I get into my top 5. The Ajvarski, I had some issues with the Ajvarski that I don't think had anything to do with the Ajvarski pepper in and of itself. The Ajvarski is to me similar as the giant Marconi Reds. The giant Marconi Reds did her big one in my garden this year. I will be growing her again. I think I'm probably going to grow the Ajvarski again just because, like I said, it was an error on my part. But there might be enough of the giant Marconis. Now, I do have a couple packets from different companies of the giant Marconi. I would recommend the giant Marconi to most people, as well as the Ajvarski. These are large, thick peppers. For me, a thicker, a chunkier pepper is easier to slice and dice and all those great things. So that's just something for me personally I look for, because I just can't be bothered to struggle with my produce. It's just not worth my time and day. So this is not technically in my top 5, but I did like this a lot. This is in my top 5. I will definitely be growing this again next year, and I have it. The shishito peppers is a very popular pepper. This is just, I think, the generic one. There are, if you go into Johnny's, you're going to fall down a rabbit hole, okay? And it's going to be very overwhelming in the best way possible. There are different varieties of shishitos that you might, if you're like, I'm struggling to grow this type of shishito, then try another variety. The shishito plant is quite small. And when I say quite small, I most definitely could have planted 2 shishitos in my 20-gallon grow bag, it was kind of a waste. I did put another pepper in there that just didn't do well. So 2 shishito plants can go in a 20-gallon grow bag. Now, forewarning, shishitos are smaller peppers. So just like the spicy peppers, they're smaller. They put on a ton of peppers. A ton. If you want to be roasting shishito peppers every week, and there's only a couple of you that will eat them in the house, 2 to 3 plants is gonna do you. Like, there's gonna be a lot going on for you. If you want to drown in shishito peppers, I feel like 4 or 5 plants will have you drowning. If you have a bigger family, 4 or 5 shishito plants is gonna have you in there. This is the one only real pepper that I will just toss stems and all after washing them into a frying pan and fry them up in some oil with some salt and pepper, maybe some other seasonings, and then take them off and be dipping them in like a yogurt dip or a hummus or something like that and eating them like that, the seeds and all. I still haven't personally interacted with the spicy shishito, but even the spicy shishito, I think it's 1,000 Scoville heat units, and the peppers I was showing you were 1 million to 1.5 million, some of them. So for me, this is nice. It's just a nice pepper. I never got any to red. I just keep harvesting them. They're just, guys, they're good. The Lesia is probably gonna forever be in my garden. I don't care what anybody says. I have the orange Lesia and this Lesia. Both of them do well in my garden. This also was in that same raised bed with the squash, and she grew. Okay, I've harvested 3 Lesia peppers, and there's 2 more on the plant right now. Keep in mind, it takes Lesia a long time to ripen. I have not, and probably will not ever, take a green Lesia pepper off the plant. The Lesia is like the sweetest pepper I've tasted. And that's because you need to let it ripen. And I do every single time. The other peppers I showed you that I said I will harvest green, those are the peppers I will harvest green. I have like 7 different purple peppers. I didn't even grow one this year. Why? I don't know. But if I want a pretty pepper, I will grow one of those purple peppers, no problemo. And a lot of them come out purple and then ripen to red or something like that. So that's that. This is Big Dog right here. This is the candy cane chocolate. Big Dog. There's enough seeds here for next year, and that's it. So when the new year drops, I'm gonna grab a packet of these without a doubt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm trying to have probably 3 to 5 plants. I had 1 plant, crazy productive. I was disappointed by this last year, I believe, because I was judging it off of a bell pepper. She is not a bell pepper. Do not treat her as if she is. She is a snacking pepper. If you treat her as a snacking pepper, she is large for a snacking pepper. Yeah, large. Like this big. Like they got big. Like there's some that are like this big, which is still quite big, but like there was a few of them this big, which is quite large for a snacking pepper. And yes, I will, no problem. So I mean, I'll dip that into sauce, but I have no problems because it's a little stockier, cutting that up and putting it into sauces and stuff. I also like giving away those peppers because they're striped. They're very beautiful. Moving on. We're gonna have to move rapido with the tomatoes. I'm so glad I got through everything else. I feel like I've talked a lot about my tomatoes. It is what it is. I'm gonna actually tell you the ones that are towards more of the bottom for this year for me. The Burton's Baby Oxheart, I only got it into the green stalk. It's not my least favorite or anything, but it took it a minute to even grow, and then it's just putting on, like I harvested 2 ripe tomatoes off of it recently. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. Even though things are dwarfed, right, that doesn't mean that it doesn't take a while to grow. That one was okay for me. The Paul Robeson didn't do the best for me this year. I like it. I'll probably grow it again, but probably only 1 plant. Like it's not going to get a much. The mushroom basket completely failed for me this year because I don't know. She just didn't do her big one. Ooh, I'm not talking about you. And it's a good one. But for a rib tomato, we'll talk about a good rib tomato in a little bit. The bonsai micro dwarf tomato was okay. This was in my green stock. I didn't have any issues per se with this. She didn't put on incense. Like, it's a small tomatoes, a tomato plant. So when you go and plant other stuff around it, you want to put this towards the top of your tomatoes because your green stalk, because it does get shaded out very, very easily. That is what it is. The next thing I want to talk about, the Alston Everlasting and the Reverend Morrow's Longkeeper. Nothing to write home about. I'm definitely not growing them next year. I'm not throwing away the seed packets. Maybe I'll grow them another year. Definitely not next year though. The cream of the crop, both the Tropical Sunset and the Sparky XL, I enjoyed them. They were good. They were good, and they were super prolific. Had no issues with those. There's a chance I'll grow them next year if I manage to control myself to not grow, like not buy other seeds. They were really good. I'm happy with those. The Olive Shades Patio Tomato was all right. It was all right. I got one plant to come up and grow some tomatoes. It was okay. I got that because for M.I. Gardner, he got the highest amount of poundage from his, but it was in the green stalk, so I'm not judging her too heavy, but I'm not promising I'm going to grow her next year. The Gazanti is another rib tomato. I definitely harvested these. I just ended up never stuffing them. I bought them for stuffing. I might have turned on my grill once this whole summer. It was a busy summer for me. So that's, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Oh, this is the baby oxheart. Look how cute they are, and they are just that pretty in real life as well. Guys, I got the mortgage lifter. I'm not sure about that. I'm not gonna throw the seeds away, but I'm not sure I'm gonna grow that next year. It was okay. The tomatoes are huge. Let's keep it above. But they take forever to grow, okay? There's only a few on the big plant because it's a big tomato. So I don't know if it's worth the real estate, to be honest with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I don't have all of the top 10 here to talk. Oh wait, girl, I was like, what happened? So the one I'm missing here to actually show you is the Bush Roma Supremo, and there's no picture on there anyway. The plant is prolific. The plant, it was one of, why? What plane is that close? Hold on, because it's making the light. Goodbye. Okay, so that is an amazing paste tomato. If you need a paste tomato variety, like a variety that's gonna do her big one, and the main characters that everyone else loves doesn't do it for you, the Bush Roma Supremo is one you need to grow. I will be growing that for as long as I can get my hands on the seeds. They're the most expensive seeds they're just ridiculous. If you don't want to spend that type of money, these pastes are not as big, but they're slightly more prolific because they're smaller. So they're about the same in type, probably in terms of poundage. This is the Inca Jewel. Renee's Garden doesn't play about keeping their stuff stocked, so you're gonna find it. This is the open one I used this year, but I bought another packet. I'm not playing. These are the two pastes I will grow, probably for the rest of my days. The rib tomato I wanted to tell you about is a Casaluto Genovese, okay? This is big dog. Yeah, big dog, big dog. She don't want no puppy, she want a big dog. Now, how you grow her definitely matters. She doesn't do nearly, okay, I'm so sorry, guys. This light is gonna have to go out. It is blinking, flashing or whatever, and it's annoying. Sorry, we're in the darkness now. This is an amazing, amazing tomato. Okay, this starts growing quite quickly. I did have this in my polytunnel, so she was quite protected, but I also had one outside of my polytunnel. The one outside of my polytunnel grew smaller Casaluto Genoveses versus the one in my polytunnel had decent sized Casaluto Genoveses. This is awesome. If you want a beautiful tomato for yourself, for your family, for your friends, grow this. Highly productive, beautiful, reasonably sized tomatoes that ripen quite quickly if you ask me. Thornsburn Terracotta, love that girl down bad. I feel like I've talked about her ad nauseum in the last 2 years. She's a good tomato. She's a pretty looking tomato. The ripening, this is a longer plant tomato, like to ripening, but it's good. And it's just so pretty. And it's delicious. This is one that people actually have asked me for specifically, the Queen of the Night. I like her. She is a saladette sized tomato, and she's absolutely gorgeous. What you see in the picture is what you get in real life if you have it out in the sun. And I always have my stuff out in the sun. Very dark, very delicious, and the dark where it is red, it starts out green. So it's black and green, and so you know immediately when it starts ripening. I love the Queen of the Night tomato, and I also find the flavor to be good as well, but it's just so pretty. And I love pretty things that taste good. What a vibe, okay? Let's be mildly boring right now, because you need a couple boring tomatoes. The Giant Crimson is a very nice sized tomato. It's a red tomato, a red slicer. It's good. She's good. She's reliable. The problem is there was only 5 seeds in here. I think I have 2 or 3 left. I think everything I planted, like this sprouted. It did what it's supposed to. I'll probably grow her again next year because she was good. A good amount of tomatoes came off of this plant, even though it was a good size. I don't understand what they did genetic-wise to make the Giant Crimson do that. Shout out to Giant Crimson. Bonnie Best. Bonnie, come to the front of the class. This might forever be in my garden. There's a good amount of seeds in here. I had one Bonnie Best plant in my garden. If I had 3 of these, 3 alone, and you are drowning in tomatoes, this takes a while to ripen though. So if I were you, like I would have like 2 cherry plants, 2 of the Bonnie Best plants. This way you're harvesting tomatoes, but once they start to ripen, it's almost like a cascading effect. They all start the ripening process. These are some of the most uniform tomatoes I've ever seen in real life in my garden. There's gotta be 10 to 14 tomatoes on that plant. They're not small. They're not massive, but they're not small. And they're quite uniformed. They're very pretty. I think I only had 1 crack. It is in my polytunnel, but I had cherries in my polytunnel crack. So this is just pretty. It's pretty in like a, for the sake of being pretty type of vibe, like in the perfume community. That's what we say for like basic fragrances that smell nice, but they don't smell unique. This is that. I think everyone should have something like that that is just a good, reliable tomato. This is that. I feel like I just did a Yu-Gi-Oh card. This is the mochi. I can't show you this. I've shown you in other videos what it looks like. This is a slight chew to it, a little savory, a little sweet. I've harvested, and I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Easy 50 tomatoes. Easy. And I feel like I'm lowballing you just to make sure I don't I'm sorry. I didn't finish my sentence. Easy 50 tomatoes in the last week and a half or 2. Maybe a week and a half, week. This plant probably produced hundreds of cherry tomatoes, and I only had 1 in my backyard. There's 1 in my green stalk. Insane. I would never grow this in a green stalk again because you get like 1/8 of the growth. If you don't have land, grow it in your green stalk. But if you can put this, this is in a raised bed. It really didn't grow super crazy, although it did grow out a little bit out of the cage. And I have it in a tomato cage, mind you. I don't want to think about what this could do on my arch trellis because I just think I would get irritated. There's still a smooth 100 tomatoes. I'm being very serious. 80 to 100 tomatoes on that plant right now. I could probably harvest 30 ripe tomatoes from that plant right now. Yes, I'm looking at it. Insane. Shout out to Johnny's for creating this. I think they created this mochi. And it's considered a greenhouse tomato. I didn't grow it in my polytunnel. I grew it outside, and she still did her big one. I figured there was a chance she would die, and she didn't. She said, don't play with me. Orange Oxheart is one of my favorite orange tomatoes. I love an Oxheart tomato. They're so beautiful. These things are massive. Now, last year they did better than this year. This year I did not pull it in a raised bed though. I put it in a grow bag. I would never grow this in a grow bag again. I think when you're looking at bigger tomatoes, you don't want to put them in a grow bag. There's just not enough soil to support the growth of the plant. I would have probably have had to give this fertilizer, like liquid fertilizer, every 4 days. I feel like because it just kept eating like the fertilizer. So I did get like 3 of them off of here, and I think there's like 3 more that are growing now. So I would get a total of 6, and they're huge. So it's not like a bad thing. But last year, I think I harvested 12, 14, 6. Like there was a lot of these on like, and at one time, like, because it had so much more soil to work with. But I really enjoyed the orange ox heart. I'll grow it again. This is big dog right here. This is big dog right here. This is behind the Castelluccio Genovese. This might be tomato number, well, we're not counting the paste, right? The paste were in a league of their own. But the Castelluccio Genovese outside of the paste was like number 1 for productivity. The Dad's Sunset was right behind. These are pretty decent size. They are pretty. I'm making a tomato sauce right now, some for dinner and some I will freeze right now just from these. I washed 9 of them and only could use 6 onto my tray. And I'm gonna have to do another round, but these are pretty. They take a while to ripen and they take a while to grow. So don't expect this to come fast. But once they start ripening, you're gonna see about, I think there was like 10. Like it's a decent amount on there. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. Like this is good. And then it's starting to, there was a couple more that grew on there. So those will take time to ripen. And the Dr. Witchies. Between the Dr. Witchies and the Sunset, keep this between me and you. I really like the Dr. Witchies, and I'll always have seeds and probably always grow the Dr. Witchies. But I don't hear anyone comparing the Dr. Witchies to the Dad's Sunset. My Dad's Sunset are not this type of red. They're a little more yellowish with just a mild, like they're a little more yellowish than what you see here. And I have 2 in my garden, and they are, I think I have 15 of them. I just cut 6 or 7 of them, but I had double digits on my counter. So that's something to keep in mind. But Dr. Witchies and the Dad's Sunset, they both are pretty decent on par together. The Dr. Witchies I didn't get into a raised bed, which is shame on me. I only had a grow bag, so I only got a couple of these, but this is so good. I'll always have it in my garden. And I'm probably gonna put this in a raised bed next year. This is the last one. Whew. This is the Summer Sweet Gold. This took forever. This is one of the coolest colored tomatoes, like outside of like, okay, so when you have those striped or whatever type of tomatoes, those are very beautiful, obviously, right? Or the black tomatoes with coloring or whatever. Like I love that. But for a one colored tomato, this is the coolest one. This is a highlighter yellow tomato. The Summer Sweet Gold. I wouldn't call this a gold tomato. This is a highlighter. You know the neon yellow tomato? That's this. It's almost like not see-through. Hold on, let me just grab a tomato to show you. So I kept this tomato away from the other stuff so I never forgot. This is my Dad's Sunset. I'm gonna turn this flashing light on for just a little. Actually, hold on, let's see if this will go on. Okay. You see this? So this is, when I picked this, I was like, this is the Dad's Sunset, because my Dr. Witchies and my Dad's Sunset look very similar this year. So it's not a much red. I mean, you can see for sure the tops over here are a little red, but it's not as red as I thought it was gonna be. I'm gonna show you the Summer Sweet Gold. Guys, I'm so serious. I'm so serious about this. You see this, and it almost looks a bit warmer on camera, but it's like a highlighter. I don't know how to get you guys. Like it's white, like pale yellow, and then next to each other, you can see it almost makes my Dad's Sunset look orange. It's honestly insane. I still haven't tasted the Summer Sweet Gold, but I really don't think I'm gonna have a problem. The other thing to remember about the Summer Sweet Gold is she does, in fact, take an extremely long time to grow. The Summer Sweet Gold is a part of the Dwarf Tomato Project, though. So whereas the Dad Sunset got big and branched out, this did not. The leaves are definitely unique to other tomato plants. Very thick, pointed type of leaves. I had 2 of these in my garden this year. They put on an okay amount of tomatoes, but just the sheer look of this and the compactness of this, I feel like if you really couldn't, like you had to use tomato cages and that's all you have, the tomato cage I put around this definitely kept it contained, guys. It kept it contained and it was great. I also feel like when it comes to the amount of tomatoes I put on, I wasn't supremely impressed, but it wasn't bad. Like, and this is a decent size. And some of the Dad Sunsets were smaller than this. So they're really not, they're about on par if you look at the other Dad Sunsets of this, because basically all of the Summer Sweet Golds were this size. I am not upset about this, guys. I am not. So it says potato leaf dwarf plant. I feel like I had potato leaf in one of my other plants. I must not have, because I watched that plant grow and I was shook. That's all I really want to talk about. I haven't harvested my sweet potatoes yet. My potatoes, I dug in there and they're this big still. I need to look up how early I can plant out sweet potatoes, because I will mess around and put warm water in a couple grow bags earlier on, because people picked out their their potatoes and I still feel like I can't. I'm getting impatient. The leaves are also not dying off like that yet. Guys, it's the end of August and I planted that out, I don't know when. I feel like I did it on time, but maybe not. Anyway, I'm gonna definitely keep growing more potatoes. I did put some potatoes in a raised bed. I'm not sure how big those are gonna get because I planted that late. Like, I'm gonna leave that for as long as possible. I'm gonna leave that for as long as possible. So I think our first frost is like the beginning to middle of October, and I'm going to hope and pray we truly do not get a frost until like the middle of October, so it'll have like a month and a half to grow. They've already been popped up and stuff like that, but I think in that raised bed, having those potatoes growing there is gonna do better than the potatoes in the grow bags, because they're just still so small. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this whole video. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.